So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So today I want to discuss the hashtag OPTC Reborn, which is getting pushed by a few people, and they are spamming like all the global Twitter posts, and they've also started to spam the Japanese Twitter posts a bit, which I think is positive, even if I don't think they're doing it the right way. I actually think that doing stuff like this picture that many post is pretty smart. Like, it's a good, easy way to catch attention at least. Uh, a more commonly posted picture is this list of changes. And what they've been doing on the JP side is that they've Google translated this and is posting it. And as someone who can read Japanese, I can say that this is not worth posting. Like, this is a pretty awful read. And if we go back to the OG English post, like, I think, as someone said on the Reddit post about this, like the heart is in the right place, but it's a bit. I don't like to use the word cringe, but some of these points hurt for me to read at least. And I feel like if we're to rally up behind something like this, it needs to be something that the majority can agree to. And I feel like that's not the case here. Like, I do think there is one thing we can all agree to in terms of the issues with One Piece Treasure Cruise, and that's the current state of content. I'll get back to that later. And I feel like focusing on that is for the benefit because that's what most people have issues for. Like, this one is goes through so many things that I feel like it fragments the point a bit. It makes it too broad, like bringing up stuff like output of legends or cost of multis. Like, there's so much. Like, the one thing I very much disagree with here is, like, if you're going to tell Bandai that the thing we have the biggest issue with is content, not yet, and part of that is lack of content. We can't do like this post does, call out the new big content we've got and basically ask it to be removed. Like the point of the Garb Challenge, they basically say that Garb Challenge should replace Grand Voyage is not named but implied. And sure, like, you might argue that Grand Voyage is flawed. I'm fine to take that debate, but it's irrelevant for this point. Like, if we want more content, it's fine to have a content like Grand Voyage. Grand Voyage only annoys some people because content they liked has been removed. So it's not like, oh, we can remove Grand Voyage and we get the other content back. That's not like how it works. It's just about allocating resources, and I think most of us can see that Grand Voyage is not really eating up much resources. Like, everything used there is old stuff, like old sprites, old art. Like, there's not much new there. It's just designing the content. But yeah, I do think that focusing on reviving abandoned game modes, the state of content in general, is the way to go. So I decided to rewrite this in a way I'd like to see it. I'm not saying that mine is better or good written. I just wrote something up pretty quickly in a similar vein to this, but focusing in on the content aspect. So I guess I'll show it. It's not something I will advertise or anything. I just thought, like, I dislike criticizing things and not give an alternative. And people are free to call this out. I'm not saying you should start spamming this. I'm just saying this is something I think more people can agree to in general. So yeah, I do think it's good to give some context to the criticism that it's not just content, but that content is probably the biggest issue most people agree on. So I bring up a lot of the things mentioned in the old post, like a lot of legends, Sugos being bad, steps being bad, all of that irrelevant. I'm just giving them as examples just to say that this is one of many issues, but this is probably the biggest one. And then I go into that the issue we can agree on is the situation with content. We get too little content, the content has no variety, we have no special events, all game modes we like, they have died. And yeah, then I just go into 5 points I think most people can agree with. And yeah, it's pretty clear that people want some of this old content back. I mentioned Arena, which is basically that at this point it feels very sad to say that, because in my opinion Arena should be monthly, and we'll get back to that. And many people want the GARP challenges to reset. I don't personally burn for this, but with a rehaul, sure. And of course Force of Training, which I don't think many people really care about, but I think people see that a game like OPTC should have some form of long content. Like, we do still get a lot of legends released that only really shine in this type of content, that only exist in Forest of Training. Stuff like Superclass Katakuri with the healing between stages, that's basically uses in most content we get right now. More regular monthly content, like a very common complaint with Grand Voyage is only one mission every 2 months. Like, I think if it was every month, people will be a bit more happy. Like, maybe they can't beat it, but they at least get rewards more consistently. Arena every month, I'm sure people will appreciate that too. And then we get into the GARP challenges, and yeah, I think people want it back just because, like, I pull a new legend, I have something I can test it against. But of course, doing just Rebel 1, Doffy 1, Whitebeard, stuff like that, being forced to do it every month, only that, it does get kind of old, and the legends are too powerful, like, the power level is too high. But if they also add new GARP challenges as well, sometimes normal GARP challenges, and I finally start adding like Whitebeard 2. Anvil 2, stuff like that. And I think I say 12 star, but I think it's a 13 star actually. Like I said, I didn't spend too much time on this. It's just to show how you could put it. Overhaul existing game modes. I think it's fair to bring up the criticism with the current modes, because I don't think we can make them go away. Like, they are stuck with us, but like, you know that I don't have as much criticism with Treasure Map as most people do, but it's indeed that if you don't pull, you're going to have a bad time a lot of the time. And I feel like people don't like to criticize Kisuna as much, but you have to criticize the reward structure. It's hard to motivate playing for the rewards when you don't really get any rewards. And finally, more special events. I think this is something a lot of people want. Like, sometimes we got like hard challenges with like Doffy and Toy Island. I think it had a cost restriction as well. We had that cost restriction event with like event Moogies and stuff like that. We have had damage rankings. We still get blitzes from time to time, but I think blitzes will be more special if it didn't feel like, oh, every 2 months or something we get a blitz, and we never get anything but a blitz. So that would be pretty dope. And then I think it's also fair to say that a lot of these stuff we had before they were removed, they were stuff that, like, you didn't pull a legend just to beat them, but pulling a new legend, you feel better about it because, like, you know that in like 3 months we might get a new forest, we might get a new GARP challenge, and we know that owning this unit will be good for that. My box will be better, I can handle this. Like, right now, having a good box doesn't feel as good as it should be, and I'm sure many people can agree with that. So yeah, let me know what you think. I'm personally think it's good that we voice our opinions. You can also do it on the Reddit Discord, leaving feedback. But I do think that focusing on the YP tweets is good. And I do think we need to have a more clear messaging. We can't just Google Translate a message. And I think that the most important thing is to get a message in order that most people can stand behind. But yeah, that's my take. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.